Hey everyone, and welcome back to another spicy episode of ProRevenge. Take my parking spot? I'll take your promotion. A few years ago, I got a job, and when I was hired, I was told my job duties would include supervision of the existing team. I thought this would be perfect, as I was working my way into management. Unfortunately, my job title did not include supervisor or anything to that effect. Lesson learned. Anyway, I start the job. I'm loving it, and after a few weeks of getting into the swing of things and trying my best to just pay attention to how things are, to look for ways to improve our workflows, one of my coworkers starts acting like he's a supervisor in subtle ways. One example was dividing the work between the team, and of course, he would pick the easiest work and push off the harder work for the rest of the team. He would also take large amounts of time to do side work on his office computer. Not liking the way things were going, I approached our boss, who said he'd talk to my coworker, explaining in detail my observations. After talking to my coworker, the conversation with my boss went like this. Boss: well, the position title we hired you for is not really a supervisory role, and you see, coworker has been here for over 10 years. In the past, we talked to him about being supervisor, but he never showed interest up to now, so we're gonna give him a shot. I know this is not ideal and hope you can understand our situation. At first, I was mad and a little disappointed, but I figured, why not let him try? I can just keep looking for other jobs if things don't pan out. And then he started parking in my parking space. The first day, I thought, oh, maybe someone was in his. No biggie. After a week of this, I had enough. Game on. Note, his parking spot was literally 2 spots over, so it's not like I was a big deal, just him being childish and passive-aggressive and trying to assert dominance. For the next weeks, my performance skyrockets, and I mean easily being 2 times or 3 times more productive than my coworker. During this time, I also approached our boss asking for more managerial duties. The more and more I thrived, the more and more my boss realized the mistake in making my coworker the team supervisor. But how to remedy such a situation? Somehow, the boss got the idea to create a job of team supervisor and have both candidates apply. The job would only be open to internal applicants. That's when coworker got nervous. During the brief time the job posting was up, he realized his place on the Iron Throne was not secure. After the interviews and reviews of performance took place, a clear winner was declared for team supervisor. Though our story does not end here. Once I found myself with the formal title and pay, lots of changes went into effect. He no longer would only do the easy work, but would have his fair share of challenging work. I further challenged him to grow his skills, as we work in an ever-changing environment where one must continue to keep up with changing technology. After a sufficient time period, I was able to approach HR and present my case for termination. HR really didn't like knowing we were paying someone to do their side business at work and on a work-issued computer. In the end, our team is in a much better place and we're able to hire an entry-level guy who has steadily been performing at 2 times his predecessor for a fraction of the previous salary. Oh, and I have my parking spot back. Manager thought my job role was unnecessary. Learns the hard way, it wasn't. About 20 years ago, I worked in the technology field as a sales engineer, supporting sales reps. A new sales rep manager joined the field team and didn't like the control sales engineers had over the sales process. Because I was the lead sales engineer, he decided to make me an example of his brilliance. He got a very large lead with a bank and proceeded to close a very large deal, without involving any sales engineers at all. Just after the deal closed, he called to gloat, saying something to the effect of, "The biggest deal this month. Oh wait, you did not participate at all." About a month or so later, I get a call from that manager, in a bit of a panic, and I partake in a conference call with the customer. It is decided I need to come to the company for a meeting. At the meeting, I figure out the sales manager and the sales rep totally effed things up and sold the customer an incompatible set of solutions. In the meeting, I casually mentioned that maybe the customer could return one bit of stuff and replace it with another as they were roughly the same price. After the meeting, sales manager starts chewing me out for mentioning price. Price was the exclusive domain of the sales rep. He calls my manager, craps all over me. I didn't like my manager at all, so when he took the sales rep side, I said F you and quit. I sent a very lengthy defense of my actions during the meeting to HR. 4 months later, I get a call from another sales rep still at the company. He asks, "Hey, what happened at XYZ Bank? They are suing us." I call XYZ Bank and get the email for the CIO and send them a letter explaining I was the sales engineer for the company you are suing. Call me. They eventually sent a lawyer to interview me and get my side of events. My testimony was devastating to my former company's defense. I showed the bank the letter I sent my HR, in which I claim our company lied to the customer to get a sale. Eventually, I get a subpoena to be deposed in the bank versus company lawsuit by my former company's lawyers. By that time, I was working elsewhere and hanging out on a Yahoo stock message boards and bashing the company's stock. One day, another sales rep from a distant territory that I still talk to called me to say that a huge deal we had worked on for over a year had just fallen through in a dramatic fashion. I posted it to the Yahoo message board devoted to that stock. The stock crashed $13 the next day. I wondered if my post had anything to do with it. About 6 weeks after the stock crashed, it's the day before I am supposed to get deposed in the bank versus company matter. I get served with a lawsuit by the company. They had used the SLAPP laws to get my identity from Yahoo and sue me for the post that crashed their stock. So I went to the deposition the next day and said, "I'm sorry, the company you represent today just served me with a lawsuit last night. This deposition is over." They were dumbfounded. Turns out there were two separate legal teams, one working on defending the company against the bank suit, and one finding that pesky internet troll that crashed their stock, and the two never noticed the same person was central to each. The company settled with the bank and dropped their suit against me soon thereafter. That long letter I sent to HR, turns out the managers above me didn't read it. Once the lawsuit was over, the sales rep, the sales manager, and his manager were all fired. Send me spam mail? Let me beat you at your own game. A local car dealership sent my mom a letter asking to buy her 3-year-old car she's had since it was brand new on a dealership lot. She has sentimental value to her beautiful car and took very good care of it, so she was offended by the letter and tossed it in the recycling pile, where I found it and read it. The letter included a $25 coupon off a car at their dealership. It had very little text, not anything that says that you can only use one at a time. I hatched a plan on the spot. I live in a small town where everyone knew everyone. I started asking everyone I knew if they got any similar $25 coupons, and sure enough, quite a few other people did. The local dealership was sending these letters to everyone. Each time I asked a person if they had them, I also asked them to ask everyone they knew so the word got out quick in town, and I had a few dozen people giving me their $25 certificates. Some free, some people sold them to me for like $5. Soon, I had nearly $1,000 worth of these $25 coupons. I decided to play the long game. I did need a better car myself, and the dealership actually had some good cars that I was interested in. So I paid a few visits there, looked at cars, and talked with the owner. It was one of those stereotypically shady dealerships that try and scam young, clueless adults, old people, and soldiers into buying overpriced cars with mechanical issues. Not even a week later, he's already sending another letter to half the town with more $25 coupons. I again began collecting everyone else's $25 coupons. This guy was sending these promotions out on a weekly basis, and it was a huge burden on the local post office. But word was out all over town that I wanted them all, so I practically had people lined up to give me theirs. 2 months after the first letter that came out, I had accumulated $10,000 worth of these $25 certificates. I read enough legal advice to know that I should get a lawyer to check the local laws. I went to the local's lawyer office, who referred me to another lawyer who researched the laws about these kinds of promotions and confirmed that a judge may side by us in a civil courtroom. The lawyer and I walked into the dealership with a drawstring bag full of these coupons, sat down in the owner's office and spilled them out on his desk and demanded one of the cars off his lot essentially free. The owner, of course, refused and was clearly upset when the lawyer carried out his spiel on laws and such, saying that this was legal because of his laziness in not having additional notes. We did not walk out of there on good terms. We filed a lawsuit against him. Once he had been served, my lawyers called him and informed him that if this case reached the courtroom, the entire town would hear about it and nobody would ever buy from there again. The owner's lawyer sent a letter a week later to negotiate giving one of his cars to me for free to prevent the press hearing about it. The owner and my lawyer signed a bunch of paperwork at the dealership and I got a decent car free, minus a few small government fees, in exchange for trading in my other car. The word got out anyways, and everyone else started hoarding their $25 certificates until the dealer added limitations to the coupons, and then everyone else stopped going to his dealership. He closed in within a year, and I got a free car out of it, all because he pissed my mom off by trying to buy her car. Thank you guys so much for listening to this video. I'm currently working on an upload schedule so I can make more videos for you guys, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button.